Dean, what is your topic?
Why global warming is not primarily caused by humans and why it's not a big deal.
All right, and proceed.
Alright, so you probably have all heard of the global warming theory where we pump out CO2 with our factories and stuff, the sun comes in and it bounces around inside because of the greenhouse gases. And that was made popular by people like Al Gore and Michael Mann. And a lot of the data they use is mainly based off computer models. They get it from ice cores, and that's when they take a thing of ice out of the ground, like in Antarctic, they pull it out, and they can see how fast the ice froze, so they know the temperature, and they can see the little air bubbles, and they can see exactly what was in the atmosphere. So we have accurate data from way back when. And the IPCC is the International Panel on Climate Change. They're like a group of people from all countries. It's a UN group, and they're like the people who are know climate change and know what's happening. And there's two groups of people on this. There's alarmists and skeptics. And alarmists think is what most people are, is that global warming is horrible. Humans are the main cause of it. It wouldn't happen without us, and it's going to kill us all. Florida's going to be underwater and all that. And there's the skeptics, and they say, well, humans maybe caused a little bit of it, but it's not too much. It's natural. It's going to happen anyway, and it's not that big of a deal. It's going to make the Earth better, if anything. And I'm a skeptic. I think, yeah, it's natural. Science is bad. It's all based on bad science. And you'll hear them say, well, 97% of scientists agree that this is true. Well, that was faked, according to Judith Curry article. Judith Curry article, 2013. It was a faked article, or it wasn't faked, but the way they did it, they counted known skeptics. They counted their papers as alarmist papers. So it wasn't an accurate representation. 63% of them were actually undecided, but they just counted them all for it. And even the people who say global warming is not that big a deal, they still say, yeah, man has a little bit of influence, so they counted those in there too. So that's not an accurate number. And there's this graph called the hockey stick, right here. And this was made by Michael Mann, and a lot of the science was based off this. It was one of the early things. And so it's like a hockey stick. It goes straight and then shoots up, and this is when we're interacting with it. But this graph, you can plug in any numbers to the formula, it still comes out in this shape. It's not even like a graph of what happened. It's a prediction, and it doesn't work. People have tried plugging in any numbers, it still turns out on a hockey stick. And the math is just bad on that, and many people have agreed with that. Alright, and then there was also email sent out saying okay, this is a 1990 email from Phil Jones. I've just completed Mike's trick of adding real temps to the early series for the last 70 years, i.e. from 1881 onwards and from 1961 for keys to hide the decline. So I just used Mike's trick, which is he's the guy who made his graphs, like fixing the numbers, to hide the decline. And they published that graph in IPCC document. That's somewhere here. So this is what it was before. This is what came out in the report, and that's what the email is talking about. And you plug in the actual numbers, and that's what it is. And they say, well, our models predicted this is what it's going to be, and the actual data was just wrong. So we're just going to plug in the models because that's what it actually is. But that's not how you should do science. They took the actual numbers and they said, well, those are wrong, obviously, because we predicted it was going to be different, and they plugged in the numbers like that. All right, and natural change is a big contributor to global warming. It's always been happening. It's nothing to be alarmed of. This is past 400,000 years. It's always been going up and down. That black line's where we're at now. It's not a big problem. This is the last 20,000 years. That's where we are now. You can see, well, it has been getting warmer, but it's just always been doing that. The medieval period of warmer was in here a little bit. This is the last 10,000 years. And that's where we are now. It's been warmer the last 10,000 years than it has now. We're just at the beginning of it getting back up to normal temperatures. And back in Greenland, the Vikings, when they colonized there, which is during this winter warming period, they were growing they had farms there, they were growing tons of crops. In Great Britain, they were growing grapes. So it was warm enough to do a lot of stuff that you can't do nowadays. All right, and then the last 18 years, this is the last 18 years, there has been no change. This is a pretty well-known fact. The alarmists say, well, it's going to skyrocket pretty soon. That's just something, but their models didn't predict it. They said it would be like up here by now. Their models haven't predicted anything. You can put it back in the past data and they don't predict anything. So the last 18 years, your whole entire life, there has not been any global warming at all. Alright, and then the extreme weather, okay, so maybe it's not global warming. It's just extreme weather, it's climate change. They changed the words because their argument didn't fit. So this is cyclone frequency, tropical storms, hurricanes, since 1970. It hasn't been going up at all. They say, oh, extreme weather, because when you hear about a storm in the media, it just gets hyped, oh, this is climate change, but no, it's always been happening. Here is U.S. Climate Extremes Index, so like the highest temperature and like the lowest temperature. It's like, instead of like more hot days, just like more extreme hot days. And that just stayed the same too, it hasn't moved at all really. And this is the winter Eurasian snow extent, so how much snow we've had. Because it gets extreme, so it gets really cold and really warm, but it stayed the same, it's not going up at all. Alright, and then CO2 is actually good for the planet. It helps things grow, you get more crops. This is, right now the CO2 level is about 340 parts per million. And that's what this tree was grown as. But then as you add more parts per million, you get more and more more CO2, and the plants grow more. Ice core records from the past 65,000 years show that temperature increases have preceded, not resulted, increases in CO2 by hundreds of years. PhD Fritzinger in a 2000 article, The Great Global Warming Swindle. So global warming has not gone up, or it hasn't gone to, it follows the CO2 going up because the ice melts and stuff. So along with the CO2 being good, natural change, and bad science that causes all this, I would not say it's a problem you don't have to worry about. It's completely normal.
Thank you.